Aloha, and welcome to another program of A Better Day. I'm State Senator Sam Slom, and I welcome you to the program. And I hope you'll stay tuned for the next half hour because we're going to have an interesting program for you. And we're going to have a very special guest who you're going to find really exciting. Anyway, the reason, for those of you that are new to the program, the reason we call this A Better Day is because that's what we want and expect for Hawaii's people. Not just a good day, not just a new day, we want a better day. You deserve it. We're optimistic, even though we have some financial problems and we've got health problems and we've got homeless problems and transportation problems. We can make it a better day. And if you need anything about any help in navigating the state legislature, you can call my office at any time. My staff will be most helpful to you. If you need anything or you want to discuss legislation for next year, the 2016 session, this is the time to do it. We're in interim right now. This is absolutely the best time to talk to your legislator, to discuss issues that are important to you and your community, and also to get to know your legislator. It's much better to know him or her before the session till after the craziness starts in mid-January. And it should be an interesting session coming up. But look, we still have things that we do during this interim. We meet with constituents. We have informational briefings and hearings. And the State Senate will have its first special session of the year, probably later this month or early November. And we have to do that because of the Constitution. The governor is going to make 3 nominations for court appointments, 2 in the circuit court and 1 in district court. And the way the law works is the Senate has 30 days in which to meet, have hearings, and advise and consent to these nominations. Otherwise, they automatically go into effect. So the governor will get that information, 2 of the nominees from the Judicial Selection Commission, 1 from the Chief Justice. And he'll send his nominations down to us. We'll take a look. Meanwhile, though, we've had interesting briefings on the Health Connector, on the tax modernization plan, and also on some educational issues as well. So if you want to hear what's going on, you want to find out what the schedule is, as I say, drop into my office. Our door is always open, or give me a call personally. Well, look, of all the things that we're talking about locally, it seems that many of the issues revolve around the State Public Utilities Commission. And the PUC has its fans, has its critics, but everybody agrees that it's really important. So today, we're really lucky because we got the important man himself. We've got the chairman of the PUC, Mr. Randall Iwase. Randy, welcome to A Better Day.
Well, I'm glad to be here, Sam.
Well, I'm sure you're glad to be anywhere. I thought you retired.
Yes, I was.
How many times have you retired so far?
Once.
I've known Mr. Iwase, Senator Iwase from the State Senate, where he had an illustrious career, but he's also been the head of just about every state commission and board that there is, the Labor Relations Board. What else have you been involved with?
Well, the Tax Review Commission.
The Tax Review Commission. All of these things that are important, and it seems, doesn't matter who the governor is, when there's a job to be done and it's important and you need somebody with experience, you get Iwase. And the reason you get Senator Iwase, the reason you get Randy Iwase, is because he's no nonsense. He gets to the heart of a problem. Whether he has experience in that area or not, it's not important. He's got experience in administration and management and working with people. And I'm proud to say he's been a friend of mine for many years. I think we only have one major disagreement, and that is he's got a flaw with all his expertise and all. He is a Beatles fan, whereas I am an Elvis fan. And Elvis has not left the building, but you're very loyal, right?
Oh, of course.
I mean, even when you were retired and you were sitting on that rocker, you were still listening to the Beatles.
Of course I was, when I'm 64.
Did you have hair then when you first?
Of course I had hair. Of course I had hair.
So of all the things that you've done, you know, in the legislature and in these jobs and all, what's been the most rewarding to you?
Continue to serve.
Yeah.
You know, in this day and age, I guess people are so skeptical about what we do in public service. We're here because we want to serve the public. And now I can look back on things that at least I had a part of and say that there was a contribution. The Waiolo Regional Park that we created out in central Oahu, I was part of that. Aloha Tower Development, because I was the executive director of the Aloha Tower Development Corporation. So you see these things go up, fighting for Second City. So it's a belief that you've made a contribution in some way to the betterment of our state.
Now, at one time, you were part of a group of the majority party members that were referred to as the dissidents.
Yes.
There were 8 of you, right? That's how I got to know you first when I first got elected. And we worked together.
I think there were 10 of us. And
8 of you and
2 of you.
2 of us. And we worked together. We had 10.
us.
Because the simple math is this. If you got 13 votes in the Senate, you do anything you want. Change the rules, change the presidency, anything you want. But we had 8 Democrats, 2 Republicans. We sat down at a table. We threw out all the things we disagreed on. We were in agreement on several key measures, including fighting a major tax increase at the time, educational reform, and we worked together for 2 years. We stayed together, we worked together on a bipartisan. Nobody had to tell us to be bipartisan or anything else, and it was really good.
Yeah.
So,
well, I thought it was you and Whitney and us meeting in the minority caucus room to discuss legislation. But it was how we came to work together. It was, hey, if you had a conscience vote on something, that's your vote. No one told you to vote this way or that way. And I think it was comfortable for all of us. I know it was comfortable for me.
Yeah, and for me too. And I think it was reflective in the public had probably a better, not only an understanding, but also an appreciation for the legislature. We watch now as, the public attention to the Congress and to state legislatures in general is very low. We've watched our voter turnout go from number 1 in the nation to number 50. But we looked at those things. We didn't look at them as Republican or Democrat. We looked at the issues. Is it important for Hawaii? Here's my best thought on it. And we worked together. I've got a jaundiced view right now. I see less of that taking place nationally and locally, that people are kind of, really firm in their ideological or party position. And there's not as much discussion. Am I wrong about that, or you see the same thing?
Sam, I agree with you 100%. Locally and nationally, we see more of it played out nationally because they get on the news more often.
Yeah.
But it's like when we had our interaction, each of us had a certain, and still do, a certain ideological point of view, whether it's finances, funding of programs, etc. And no one, if there was a disagreement, attacked a person's character, integrity. We dealt with the issues, we agreed to disagree, and we move on. You don't see that today. You see a whole lot of, I'm going to fight you just for a political reason, or I'm going to take you down by personally attacking you. And that does not make for a conversation or reaching agreement on anything. I agree with you 100%.
Yeah, and it's sad. It's not only sad for the public, who doesn't want to see all these fights and the pettiness and all that. It's sad for those of us that are in office that really want to do a good job, want to serve the public, but more importantly, want to position Hawaii in a better place. We have so many opportunities, but we've missed opportunities. And right now we're struggling financially and, with these issues that overtake us like homelessness and the health connector and the rail and things like that. We all have our own opinions, but the problem is we've got so many things we should be doing so much better. Instead, what we're doing is we're watching investment overfly us east and west, while we're a state of the 50 states. We've got political stability. We've got a great deal of experience, and we've got excellent people here who, we were talking about this before the program. Here in Hawaii, a lot of government agencies go to the mainland for outside experts, and yet people on the mainland come to Hawaii and get our experts. We got plenty of experts here. We have people, but we don't always ask them what they think we should do, or if they do, we don't follow it. So I think that's part of the problem. You got any quick solutions as to what would it take?
No, if I did, we would have solved the problem. It's, like I said, Sam, it boils down to contrasting what is today and what we had back, let's say 20 years ago.
Yeah.
There's a respect for the individual. There's a respect for one's point of view, and there is a commitment to moving ahead with what is good for Hawaii. you go even further back than our time. Back, I work here. I opened the state capitol. I worked as an aide. And if there was a Republican idea, it wasn't killed because it was a Republican idea. If it was a good idea, the Democrats stole it.
Yeah, that's right.
They amended the bill and said, okay, we're putting it in.
Yes.
But, it was all done for the purpose of, okay, that's a good idea, let's move it forward.
Yeah.
Not, let's kill it because it's Republican or Democrat. And you just don't see that. You see it happen very rarely. In Congress, I'm not too familiar with what's happening here.
Yeah.
Like I said, you see it more on the national stage. And one of the things that got to me when I was retired. I was here. I was part of the system, and I found myself being on the outside looking in, being part of the public now.
Yeah.
Yelling at the television. You crazy people! What the heck
Right.
are you doing?
Right.
Why can't you agree? Why can't you do this? Why can't you do something for the people?
Even worse, because you had been a part of it
That's
and
right.
you were able to do those
That's
things.
right.
We did it by discussion and by compromise and all of that. I'll add one more thing. It's not just a question of killing a bill because of the political party origination. Now we are so provincial. If the idea comes from outside the Capitol, for example, and somebody can't take direct credit for it, they don't like it either.
Oh, that's
And we're seeing more of that. Now I think that's unfortunate because we've got good ideas, but as you say, that's why we have a hearing process. I mean, you go through the hearing. I always learn things from the hearing. There's a lot of people that are afraid or hesitant to come before a hearing because they figure, oh, they don't have the proper English or they don't have the proper academics, yet they know about the subject because they're living it, and they can bring us information that we would never know otherwise. So I'm really concerned that we have less, not only free speech, but giving a fair, evaluation for other people's ideas, and I think we need to get back to that.
Well, I hope you do.
What do you mean we do? You're going to have to help us. We need you. The governor needed you. When the governor called you, when you were sitting on your rocker listening to the Beatles, did you say, okay, let's go, I'm ready to get out of retirement? Or did he have to romance you?
No, I said, let me, the idea intrigued me because it was about the future. I said it at the hearing.
Sure.
That it's about our future energy sustainability, and yes, energy sustainability is an integral part of creating a better future for us. So I said, let me think about it. I had been asked before to come back, not by this present governor, and I didn't. I just wanted to stay where I was, and it was Shangri-La. Retirement is not bad,
Do you play golf? Are you a golfer?
Yes, I did. Yes, I did.
See,
yes,
that's why I'll never amount to anything, and I can't retire because I don't play golf.
Well, you got to watch your feet.
Yeah, it's true.
So I thought about it, talked it over with my wife. I am a grandfather now. In politics, when I was driving through the system, trying to become this successful politician, it's about career advancement. Not much time with the family, and now I have time with. I have to make up time that cannot be made up with my boys. I have 2 grandsons, so I was enjoying it, and I thought, okay, this is an opportunity to make a last contribution as a in the public sector, and so I said yes.
Give us a 101 on the Public Utilities Commission. What is it supposed to do? What does it not do?
Well, the Public Utility Commission regulates a whole number of utilities. It's not. We're in the news now about the electric companies, but we regulate motor carriers. We regulate water carriers, not interstate, intrastate. We regulate private water companies. We regulate private sewer companies, and so there's a number of things we have to do. When I came on board, we had with all those, and then you add on the electric and gas companies, a lot of work with a small staff. We had lost people, and so what I'm trying to do, this is where I think what we need to do, is to build that staff back up, build staff morale back up, and get us going so that we can float again, and maybe then swim to some destination. When I came on board, we were kind of drowning. And I think we've gotten somewhat floating. I came on, I think we had 32 people. Now we're up to 45.
But as far as commissioners, how many commissioners
we
are
have
there?
3 commissioners.
Only 3 commissioners. And
3.
when you came on, there was a big backlog
Yeah.
of cases and all. Actually, that's true when you came on the
Labor Appeals Board.
Yeah, same thing, right? But you were able to whittle that down.
Well, we're working on it. It's the cases at the electric utility cases are very, very complicated, very complex, very technical, and it takes a while to go through all of the reams of information you have to go through to come to a decision. When I came on board, we had 4, I call up the 4 major dockets: distributive energy response, power supply improvement plan, decoupling, and demand response. Demand response is dealing with telling Hawaiian Electric, this is what we'd like to see with battery storage, with time of use, to help deal with energy conservation. DER is the PVs. What will you do, Hawaiian Electric, to improve the grid so that we can put more PVs on, or the grid can accept more renewable energy? And so they were sitting. And I said, we got to move them. And we have moved. We came out with a DER decision. We're working on another one. We came out with a decoupling decision. We come out with a demand response decision. We're working on the PSIP, which is very major. It deals with the technical aspects of this electrical system that produces the energy, generates the energy, and directing, pointing the electric companies in a direction, and expressing our expectation of them, and moving them, pushing them, urging them. And we're not going to stop doing that.
Yeah. Yeah, well, you know that there had been a lot of criticism of the PUC for many years, that they were slow, or that they weren't doing this or doing that, or that they were on the one side or the other. And I think it was interesting. One of the big things was the solar credits and the solar installation, which had been stalled by Hawaiian Electric for quite some time. I went to 2 of those hearings. They were a year apart, and the first year it was, you know, critical and emergency and all that. A year goes by and it's still critical and emergency. I'm not even sure if you had even been confirmed as yet, but apparently you had made some statements and you had talked to some people, and all of a sudden Hawaiian Electric found that it was easier to approve some of those installations, so you can get the job done.
Well, what they had come out with was this letter that we had heard about. Actually, I think it was Channel 2 News brought it to my attention, where it said, we're not going to connect your PVs because we have, it's called the NEM program, the Net Energy Metering, which is the credit for PVs, the NEM program. So it's the NEM program. That we're not going to connect under the NEM program because we have a case before the PUC to amend the NEM program. And we have to look at that. I mean, there are issues there of fairness, and we are looking at it, whether we should continue that credit in its present form or evolve it into something else. But I was very upset at that. I said, you have the obligation to connect unless technical safety reliability issues exist with the grid. And that's, having a case before us does not involve that.
Doesn't fit in those. And you know, HECO kept bringing up health and safety. And at the briefings that they were at and the PowerPoints, I mean, it was laughable because it had nothing to do with health and safety, and they gradually kept raising the limits that they were talking about and all that. But I think what the public is always looking for in government is for particularly someone to speak out and say, look, this is your obligation, get it done. And I think that, you know, the public has been disappointed over the years in various areas. This is what they're looking for. This is probably what's going to help frame the 2016 national elections, presidential and congressional and all that. But we get into a rut, it seems, in Hawaii, Randy, that people complain about things, but they put up with them. It's like working at a bad job or being in a bad marriage or something. At least it's convenient, you know about it, rather than making any waves or trying to get the changes. And we don't change here. I mean, I think we have a president. He ran 2008. Didn't he say hope and change? We got the hope. We haven't gotten the change. We don't change here. But you're a change agent. You've made this happen in other areas before, and you did it now. Now we've got the biggest merger ever proposed in Hawaii. What, $4.3 billion?
That's the acquisition, yeah.
The acquisition, NextEra of Florida, and Hawaiian Electric. The interesting thing is you're just getting ready to have this month and next listening sessions. where the first one that takes place, neither of the parties are going to be present, I understand.
Well, we've started
Yeah.
the listening sessions. Yes,
Okay.
we confined the public listening session to those who are not parties to the proceeding.
Mm-hmm.
They're going to have full opportunity to present their points of view, evidence and testimony at the evidentiary hearing starting November 30th.
Mm-hmm.
But we held one, we just came back, on Saturday we had one on Molokai. The week before, or was it 2 weeks before, we had on Maui and Lanai. And let me add this, we talked about how this kind of contentious lack of discussion. I must commend those who came out on those 3 islands for the way they conducted themselves. You know, I made a statement. This is about Jefferson's marketplace of ideas, and we've got to have good ideas if we're going to have a discussion in the marketplace. So please be respectful. Mm-hmm. Do not attack people. Do not boo. Talk to us about your ideas. That's what we came to hear.
And they listened.
And they listened, and they came out and they said their piece. Mm-hmm. Black and left and right, black and white, whatever it was.
Yeah.
And it was, and we gave it. We have a 3-minute time limit. Nobody played a game about, well, I'm going to defer. I'm going to leave it over to the next person to continue the testimony, etc. Very respectful of the process, and we had over 200 people at Maui. I think that was the press report. We had probably 50-something people testifying. And we finished in a timely way. Same thing on Lanai, relatively speaking, not as much, but smaller island. We finished in a timely way. And Molokai is Molokai. Molokai can be contentious, but it wasn't. Yeah. But they still, wanted to say their piece, and we finished in a timely fashion. Mm-hmm. And I hope that continues. We still have, I think in next week, we go to Kona Hilo Kona, and then we go to Kauai, and then we'll come back. I forget the date. I think it's October or something, at McKinley High School. Mm-hmm. That'll be the final public listening session.
Our guest is Randy Iwase, the chairman of the Public Utilities Commission. And Randy and I agree on many things, but not the least of which is civility, whether you're talking about public hearings or you're in a legislative process or anything else. And I don't know if you went to any of the Super Furry hearings when they
I
were
heard
held.
about it.
There was no civility there at all. People were afraid to attend those hearings because of bodily harm and threats. And that doesn't solve problems. It doesn't give us the things that we need to move Hawaii ahead. So I think what this indicates, Randy, is that the public, in fact, not only is willing to give you a chance to succeed where others have not, but that they like what you've done up to date, and they're going to get fully engaged and involved. It's not to say that there are not differences of opinions, and there's legal actions as well. Is that correct?
I don't know about legal action. I mean, you talk about the acquisition
for the merger,
case?
yeah.
Well, yeah. I mean, no matter what the decision is I'm certain that the possibility of an appeal by one or more of the parties will occur.
Did it, or does it have any impact on you that the governor came out early in opposition to the merger, and so did the consumer protector?
No, we are, as I said in a recent interview, we are an independent body. We have to look at the facts and the evidence, take all of that into consideration, facts, evidence, and law, take all that into consideration and come to a decision. And our decision has to be based on that record, especially if there's an appeal. Politics is not involved. It really isn't. And again, I don't know how skeptical your audience might be, but I can tell you there will not be politics involved in this case. Now, with respect to the statements of political leaders, I personally have no problem with it. I know all of you have to take a position. You're asked to make a statement. You're asked to say this or that. So that doesn't bother me. That's your right to say it. With respect to the governor, he's developing, I believe, an energy policy. He's very interested in this. You and I served with him.
Right.
He was a techie. I mean, way before us.
That's right.
So he's always been interested in this field. And so he's developing his energy policy. It appears that at least this acquisition and the LNG are not part of his energy policy. But he can still articulate it. That's for the governor to do. We have people in the legislature who are articulating positions. And that's, like I said, maybe because I'm from here, I understand the pressures that all of you face with cameras and reporters coming up to you and say, what do you think? And you're not going to say, oh, I'm deferring to the PUC.
Yeah.
That would be crazy. So go say what you got to say, and we're going to say what we're going to say.
Fair enough. When do you think the decision will come?
It depends on when we finish the hearing. We have 12 days at the Blaisdell. We set up this venue at the Blaisdell because we're thinking we've got to have some size. There are 31 parties. If you have 3 lawyers, that's nearly 100 people. If they bring their witness, then we get over 100 people. Then you have the media. Then you may have people from the public. So we reserved 12 days. Those are the only days we had.
Got it.
And if it's not finished by then we'll have to reserve time in January, February. After the hearing is concluded, we will allow the parties to file closing briefs. That give them 30 days, maybe 35 days, 40 days. Now we're into maybe March.
Okay.
April, May, June, you should see the filings that we have. Yesterday, we got for each of us 20 volumes, I think it was, 23 volumes.
Randy, we're running out of time. If people want more information, you have a website or you have
Yeah, we have a website.
All right, they can call my office and we'll give it to them.
Well, they can also call the PUC office. It's 586-2020 and ask for the site.
All right.
And you can get all the information you need.
Randy, what's your favorite Beatles song?
I get by with a little help from my friends.
And you do. Our guest has been Randy Iwase, the chairman of the Public Utilities Commission. Always a pleasure. We'll have to have you back after a decision is made. But we thank you for your public service and your community involvement and everything that you do. And thank you for appearing on A Better Day. And again, if you need any information, please call my office directly. We'll be very happy to help with anything that you need. Thank you for tuning in. Aloha.